right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicole Paul. I am Chief Experience Officer here at the DiJulius Group, and I welcome you all to our webinar today on how to lead in a crisis. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over some brief housekeeping for you. Anybody who is sitting at home, I'm sure in your PJs or with kids all around, not to worry. We cannot hear or see any of you. Everyone will be on mute. You do need to communicate with us. If you have any technical issues, you can throw me a note in the chat box. If you hover over the screen under John's slides, you should see a little talk bubble with the chat where you can send me a message. If you do know me, or even if you do not, if you have my cell phone number, please feel free to also shoot me a text if that is easier for you, and I'll be happy to help. John will also be taking some Q&A at the end. So throughout the entire webinar, if you have any questions that you would like John to answer at the end, you can hover over and you'll see the Q&A box. It's just a square with a Q in the middle, and you can ask a question there. Something else that's really cool is if you see someone else has asked a question that you also would like the answer to, you can hit the little thumbs up button underneath that to upvote that question, so that we'll know that multiple people are interested in the answer, so we can pick and choose and make sure we get to all of those answers for you. This webinar is being recorded, so we will be emailing you a link to the email that you registered for this webinar under, so that you can rewatch that. So we do have that option as well. John will be presenting 30 minutes of content today, and then we will be leaving 15 minutes for Q&A. If we don't get to your question though, we can see who asked the question unless you do check that anonymous box, and we'll be sure to make note of that so that we can get the answer to you. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome the DiJulius Group's visionary and Chief Revolution Officer, John DiJulius.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Nicole. I am really excited about today's presentation. It filled up immediately to the point that we had to offer a second one that we're doing at 1:30 today. So if for some reason you have some key leaders in your company or whoever that you think needs to hear this, I think there's still spots left in that Nicole can share. Okay, leading in a crisis. I'm going to cover 4 primary areas in the next 30 minutes and how to lead in a crisis. The first one that I'm going to go in more depth to on each is being a great leader today. The second one, your customer experience is on center stage. The third one, your employee experience is on center stage. And the fourth one is a recession is a horrible thing to waste. All right, let's get started. Being a great leader. How we lead right now says so much about us. As leaders, as parents, we set the tone for our entire organization, family, culture. You can't pick and choose when you want to lead. We didn't choose to become leaders because we knew it always going to be easy and we're going to, live through, great economic times. We chose to be leaders. I chose to be a leader because I wanted to be that person that helped us fight, overcome the odds, and be the one that people can look to and rely on. So in times of adversity and change, we really discover who we are and what we're made of. Tough times don't build character, it reveals it. Some of my favorite quotes. It's imperative to confidently show all our employees that this is temporary and it will pass without a doubt. That's one thing I can guarantee you, it will pass. We need to appreciate the anxiety and stress all our employees, fellow leaders, vendors, customers, and neighbors are all having during these times. Morale is bound to be low, and we need to do our best to reduce that fear and anxiety. So how? I want everyone to adopt this, and this is truly how I feel. I personally have found that I am at my best when my company or I are being challenged, fighting for survival. In a strange way, I'm actually comfortable with and become more energized by the obstacle in our way. It's my nature. And while I wouldn't want to be doing it constantly, while others are panicking and making short-sighted decisions, my confidence level increases. So screenshot that, you'll get it. But I want you to own this. It is so important that we rise to the occasion. And, again, be it our kids, be it our employees, be it, our spouses, we need to show that confidence. That doesn't mean that you don't go into a closet and on times, scream into a pillow. But we have to show it. And what you talk about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. What you say, you start believing yourself. So we got to be there for others. Act like you've been waiting for this day. And you have. I mean, you knew it was coming. We didn't know how, and it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. We are hopefully all going to be around for decades more. And, that means we're going to face tough times. We faced them in the past, 9/11, the Great Recession, all those things, and there'll be more. So, you got to act like, you got to make sure your employees know that they couldn't be in a better position, being led by a better team, by a leader, and being with a better brand. I gave my best. To me, is unacceptable. It might sound harsh or unsympathetic, but this is one of my least favorite terms, quotes, that people use as an unacceptable crutch. I don't want to hear it, so whether it's myself or my leaders, in any time, giving my best is just what you were capable of doing. When the goal is to accomplish greatness, overcome insurmountable odds, which is, where we're at, to take a team, an organization, someplace that we haven't had to before. I wasn't asking for your best or my best, right? Your best is what you're capable of in the past. I'm expecting, again, myself and to my leaders to figure it out, to try 1,000 ways, need to try another 1,000 ways, create innovations that no one ever thought of, lose sleep, get around it, find loopholes, research, sweat like you've never sweat before. If you think about every extraordinary accomplishment, invention, revolution was not a result of someone giving his or her best. Somehow that person or that group found a way to do something that no one else could, that no one else, everyone else thought that was impossible. So the real issue is it's not the effort in question. At the moment, it's what you've been putting into it up until now. So, every match, every sporting event is determined long before that actual event. So, we just don't use that right now. Don't accept it from your team. We have to rally and take it to a completely different level. Number 2 on being a great leader is communicate. And that is so important. We as leaders have to be transparent while still walking the fine line of causing panic to our team members, right? So what's transparency look like? Making sure that, our employees know that everyone's sacrificing. It's not just about protecting the company's bottom line. It's to, make sure that there is a company come back to in 30, 60, or 90 days that is protecting their long-term interest. Tell them what we're doing. If you're tapping into your lines of credit, if as a leader, you're not taking a paycheck or you're reducing your paycheck right now so more can have it. If you're giving up, your long-term, anything that you're doing, you might be, not paying your house payment this month as a leader. Let them know that, right? Because it's for them. It's in their best interests. We also got to teach ourselves right now that there's a difference between social distancing and social isolation. And now more than ever, we need to be communicating with our employees, vendors, key customers more than ever. I love something that Vern Harnish came out with this week. He said, your number one KPI that you need to be measuring this week and in this time is how many minutes of talk time you're having with others. Not texting, not emailing, but literally talk times with your colleagues, advisors, extended family members. Dramatically be increasing your talk time. So here's something, we just had today, but we have every day. This is a Zoom call with a team. And we are checking in and we're talking to them. This team 3 days a week. I have 3 companies, the Believe in Dreams charity, the DiJulius group, and then my first business, John Roberts Spa. And we're having, Zoom calls with everyone, video, so we can hear and let them vent and let them, be scared. And I'm telling you, they're great. And people feel so much better after. And they need to hear about our plans and our strategy and how we know we're going to get this back. Be communicating, over communicating. No one's going to look back, client or employee, and say, oh my God, my leader over communicated with me during that time. Number 3, to being a great leader, pull out your mission, purpose, core values, and your service vision. Talk about them, quote them, use it, remind yourself, use them in your language. That's why you created it. It's the foundation of your business. And now more than ever, we need to be talking about them. Walk the talk and give examples. So meaning if an employee did something incredible for another coworker, was there for something, what we're doing for our clients, whatever that may look like, shout out, talk about how they're living your service vision, how they're living your purpose statement, how they're living one of your core values. We need to be hearing that more than ever in our company. That will make people feel so much better. And the final thing to being a great leader is find the amazing opportunity. Find the gift. There is amazing opportunities in this. And, my key favorite quote right now, and I got a lot of them, is this isn't happening to us, it's happening for us. Love that, right? Love that. Personally and professionally. It's not happening to us, it's happening for us. And there is a reason and there is a gift. When our leadership team, the DiJulius Group leadership team, got together, I don't know, it seems, the last 10 days seem like it's a month. I feel like it's already May and we're still in March, right? We got together on a Zoom call and we started talking about what we were going to do and, reducing the financial strain and reducing pay and, if we had to lay off people. And something that came up, which was really cool, is all the initiatives, the ideas that we've had for too long, many years that we have had on the back burner that we'd always say, hey, where are we at with this? Hey, where are we at with that? And people would say, just can't get to it, just can't get to it. And, and it's shame on us, right? And I think about all 3 of our companies. We have it for all 3 of our companies, new revenue streams, better processes, education, training, products, just what we critically need to evolve the brand. And the stuff that we should have done years ago, but because of the day-to-day, craziness of our jobs, we can never get to, that is critical to the growth of our brand. This actually got me excited and energized because I'm like, oh my God, what a great opportunity. While we're not able to service our clients like we typically can during this time, let's start focusing on that. And everyone had to create, their top 3 priorities of things that were so critical to the growth of our business. Like I said, we needed it years ago, that I actually became concerned that this was going to be too short of a quarantine and then we'd back to be work and we wouldn't get to this stuff. And I know 100% that the stuff we are focusing on right now will make us such a better company that by, the quarter 3, definitely quarter 4 of 2020 and 2021 will be such a better year in the future than had we not had this, virus, quarantine, and business pause. So think about how can you capitalize on this time and position yourself and your company to be better for it. All right, the second topic of leading in a crisis is your customer experience is on center stage. How we treat our customers during this time will result in how they treat us later on. So we got to be careful with knee-jerk reactions. There's so many companies out there that immediately went to contracts and started pointing to clauses, and we're quabbling over people if this was considered force majeure, act of God, state of emergency, and pushing the penalty buttons. And I've even had speakers in my industry talk about that clients that are canceling their events that they're still charging because they have a contract. And we got to be careful. We have to be totally careful, because how we treat our customers and the empathy and compassion we show them, the business will be back. It may not come back to you if you punish your customers right now. So leave the contracts in the drawer and just work on how we can, benefit our customers, be a resource, and, it'll come back and they'll use us. Be a resource for your customers, right? Communicate and show your concern for their business. And if you know anything about me, I've always taught the best thing we can have and do to building relationships in personal and professional is knowing people's Ford, F-O-R-D. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you're reaching out to your employees, when you're reaching out to your fellow leaders, your vendors, and when you're reaching out to your key customers right now, make sure you're checking in on their Ford, right? Asking how their family's doing, obviously how it's affecting their business, but their loved ones. Show how concerned you are about their well-being. I mean, this is going to be a case study in humanity for all of us. Show what you're able to provide them virtually, not upselling them, but how you can help them adapt. Other resources that can help them that maybe you don't even offer, but that can help them. So let me give you some examples that the DiJulius group is doing. We are doing these complimentary leadership webinars. All our consulting clients, we're doing private webinars with them, complimentary, right? Because we want to be there for them during this time. Something else that we're really excited about that we are launching is we have an online training, for customer experience. Now that we've always had that. But in the next month or so, for small businesses, all these, single independent businesses, restaurants, doctor's office, hair salons, all the small mom and pops that are really getting crushed by this. We are giving our customer service online training away free to them, no cost, for them to use that to train their employees during downtime or as they slowly bring them back. It's just what we think we need to do. Now, truth be told, those aren't our customers, right? The mom and pops. So we're not cannibalizing future sales. Single independent, freestanding brick and mortar, whatever, wouldn't hire us anyway. So we're giving it to them. It's not really a cost to us. We're just repurposing, what we already have. So, we're doing something, giving back if we want. I'm sure we'll get publicity for it through PR, but it's also not hurting our future revenue stream. It's something we already have. So I want to make sure everyone's cognizant of that, because I don't want anybody, taking a bath. And you got to be careful with, charity giving right now, because if you're writing checks at the same time while you're laying off employees, that may look, a little tough. So give to the less fortunate who are more affected, and please, for the love of God, be a resource for your community. That was my example. But for the love of God, stop marketing and selling. I know everyone who's listening, watching, is getting emails about, things that you could be buying right now. And marketing and LinkedIn is still stuff, on your inbox of solicitation and pitching and all that stuff. Just be careful with that, because I know that's more offensive now than ever. That people are pushing things, and it looks very insensitive. Okay, number 3, your employee experience is on center stage. Be exceedingly human, okay? Demonstrate your concern for them, their real fears and anxieties, not only professionally and economically, but socially and personally, right? Everyone will get through this financially. And we will take a hit, and people will have to dig out, but we'll always be able to make more money. I'm not de-emphasizing that down the road, but I'm more worried about people's social stress and anxiety and how that's affecting them. While we can't necessarily give our employees definitive answers that we're going to be back 100% by April 15th, May 1st, we can, keep them in the loop. We can listen to them. We can empathize with them. They want to know that, they can relate to us and that we can relate to them, and they're not alone in this. And I've sent out videos each week to, my 150 employees, giving them little updates and telling them that I will not let anything happen to them. And you wouldn't believe the messages getting back for them hearing that. Be persistent. It's not a time to hold back. Send people updates and regular communication. Use little video vlogs to send out to your employees. It's better than a 500-word email sent out to them, and let them see it. Have regular video conference meetings, like I showed you those vlogs with small teams. It's such a way to collaborate and make people feel that they're in this together. And what you should avoid is seeming cold or impersonal or appearing that your focus is on the bottom line. These unprecedented times call for you to stretch beyond your normal comfort zone and be even more vulnerable than ever. 6 months from now, you'll look back and be so glad you did. Number 2 here for your employee experiences on center stage is be a resource for your employees. So, communicate your short and long-term strategies of, what that's looking, and we all know it's a moving target, but they need to hear it. They need to hear what, where we're at and what we're thinking about and how we're going to come back from this. We will recover as a team and as a company, how we're going to be better as a result. That fires people up, that, and them too, what they need to be doing, and that everyone should be spending, 1 to 2 hours a day on their own personal professional development. Okay. Reading something in their expertise, listening, watching, all those things. And most importantly, how to better manage their stress and learn coping mechanisms. Be a resource for that. That is so incredibly important right now. Help them find the gift in their personal lives. We all should know by now we all know what we need to do personally to stay healthy and what we need to avoid, right? However, constantly checking headline news and social media, more in our personal lives. I know as business leaders, we need to be checking it to see, what steps we can take for our businesses. But let's just talk personally now. Ourselves, our families, and our employees. It can become an unhealthy addiction, as well as making it the focal point of every conversation we're having, and, social media and, all that. And listen, stress and anxiety affects our immune system more than anything. So we need to help them focus on their positive and remind them that their kids and their significant others are looking to them to be a pillar. I can't say it enough, whether it's nature, God, someone or something is telling us that we were way out of balance in our personal and professional lives. And we need to get back to what's most important, the human interaction. And we all have been given an incredible gift, personally and professionally. And we got to help people recognize that. So I call it like the holidays at home, right? Without the chaos, the house full of extended relatives that we really didn't want to have over, and the mess to clean up. So here's some suggestions that we've given, and I'm sure you have your own. But you can certainly go to this, the DiJuliusGroup.com blog, and I think it was its title is "The Incredible Opportunities Out of the Coronavirus for Your Personal Life." So you'll see so many things that you maybe already be doing, but this is something that you could use and share with your team members, or add to it, or invent your own, or use it as crowdsourcing so your employees can all share what they're doing. So there's 3 parts to this blog. One is the benefits of connecting with each other at home, right? Having electronic free windows of family time, playing games, watching videos, right? Family videos, showing them your family videos of what it was like in black and white, and your, hairstyles when we were in high school, all those. Making a trivia game. We've been having the DiJulius Family Olympics, this week. The other part, the second and third part, is excellent personal family exercises. So if you go to this, you can click on these links and it'll show you exactly what we've done. And it's a great opportunity. And then the third part on the right here is the personal development, about, what you should be digesting, what should you be consuming, from getting your best workouts in, to improving your eating habits, to making a list of people that have impacted you in your life and that you're reaching out and you're telling them that, to, watching great inspirational videos, YouTube, TED Talks, to listening to great podcasts. So I know you guys probably have a list of resources. So I highly recommend that, you take this, borrow, recycle, repurpose, and add your own. All right, number 4, a recession is a horrible thing to waste. It's time to recession-proof your business. I'm probably one of the few people that, business owners that actually like a recession. Always have. In some cases, I prefer it over a booming economy, right? If you think about it, I know that sounds crazy, but when you consider the advantages and disadvantages of a great and a poor economy can be extremely advantageous to a strong brand, right? There's so many things to look at. Nothing ruins a company's growth. Ruins a company's customer experience faster than rapid growth. So I know so many people will agree to what they've probably had the past few years with the booming economy. A significant number of clients that hire the DiJulius Group to come in and consult are those who've gone through an incredible growth stretch the last few years, but have found that they need to fix their customer experience because they lost their way. They strayed away from their core values and need to regain the soul of their startup. Rarely does a company go through growth without having their customer experience suffer significantly. As a result of a booming economy, companies experience rapid growth, need more employees, right? So this makes it an employee market. I mean, the last several years, there's been more jobs available than employees looking, right? And so what is that? And turnover has been historical high of people quitting. So that makes it an employer market where we have to pay $15 an hour for a $12 an hour job, or where we're growing so fast, not only do we tolerate the, C player that we normally wouldn't, we need 10, 15, 40 more of them. And in, when we started off, we used to hire 10 people to select the best one. Now, we're hiring, the first 50, and we're making excuses and compromising, saying they're the best of the bunch. We can work with them. So, I mean, there's just so many things that, happens negatively when we go through this. So growth is great when it's done right. But there's hidden opportunities found in a recession. The success stories of the past decade were born from the 2007, 2009 businesses that had to reinvent themselves, create new revenue streams. Uber and Airbnb are companies that were born during that time. Don't let that happen, right? You reinvent yourself. We all enjoy the economy when it's booming, which is what I like to call the busy bus. But we can get overconfident, and we can get fat, and we start doing things and keeping people and having stuff that we didn't need. And so now this forces us to reevaluate and work harder, create new revenue streams. So, those are a lot of the reasons why I like, a recession. And loyalty is every company's greatest assets. Everyone's going to remember your employees, and your customers are going to remember how you treated them, how you checked in on them, how you offered resources that weren't even things that, you do, but you were worried about them, that you were there for them, that you checked in on them. And the last thing to do with this is my favorite. A recession is like a business enema, right? I love that. I absolutely love, there's less competition. There will be less competition. To me, a booming economy is like a tornado. And when there's a tornado, even a turkey can fly in a tornado. But when that tornado stops, there's a lot of turkeys that start falling. And, there's a lot of crappy competitors that were out there doing relatively okay, giving our industry and our brand a bad name, because that's what people just think that, all businesses are like in our industry, right? We all got that. So now those phony, turkeys start falling. It does a cleansing, and it becomes the employer market again. And, efficiency becomes back in style, and you start grabbing bigger market shares of employees and customers. Something else I want to ask you. Are you a CEO? Are you a CEO? You are, whether that's your title or not. Everyone is. You have to be the chief energizing officer, okay? And that's what our job as leaders are. There's two types of leaders: energy givers and energy suckers. And let's just talk about what energy givers are, especially right now. You raise the confidence of everyone you come in contact with. You constantly show gratitude and thanks during these times. You give everyone else the credit. You believe in others and are there for others when they're struggling or going through hard times, which everyone is right now. You're your employees' biggest cheerleaders. You find out what their goals are and you help them achieve it. You're great listeners. You will walk through a fire for those on your team, and you practice what you preach. Another word I love, it's my word of 2020. Okay, and my team got me, we all got bracelets for our word, and it's called encourage. And while I was doing research for my new book, The Relationship Economy, I don't know how I stumbled onto this word. I mean, I've always known the word encourage, and it's always sounded like a great word to me, but no different than any other great word. But I stumbled on to, an article that told me the Greek meaning of encourage is to make strong. Okay, to make strong. Kind of like that. And then I started looking at the word encourage, right? And you kind of separate it. Encourage. And if you flip it, to put courage in. And I really think, that's why it's my 2020 word, started January 1st. And that's why I wear it, is because whether it be my kids, my employees, whoever, I think that's our job, is to put courage in others, that they feel that they can do anything. And maybe because, they're on our team and they're part of it, but we have to be making strong. So to wrap this up, the 4 steps were being a great leader. Your customer experience is on center stage. Your employee experience is on center stage. And a recession is a horrible thing to waste. Right before I take questions, one other thing I want to offer you guys, a free resource, is if you go to the DiJulius Group YouTube channel, there is probably 200, this is what you'll see, and you'll scroll down, there's probably 200 short 2 to 3 minute video clips, motivation, customer experience, whatever it may be. And this could be things that you can send out to your team, watch, even when you return back to work, just to, anything that can help them, think better, think more positive, think about the client, think about the employee experience. So those are things that are free and resources for you. Okay, I am going to turn it back over to Nicole and ask me any questions that pertain to you, and I'm here to help.
All right. Hi, everybody. If you have any questions, you can pop them right into that Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. John, we have a couple questions here. Wendy asks, as a leader over the last week and a half, I've reached a point of resentment because I've given up so much of my self-care. Not outwardly, no one knows this, it's just hard. Are others feeling this? Don't get me wrong, I've also felt energized by the crisis too.
And I'm assuming self-care, and Wendy, please clarify it if I'm wrong, is taking care of yourself. And you're 100% right. The first person you need to take care of, motivate, inspire is yourself, and make sure that you are non-negotiable with that. And that could be your morning times, that could be your evening times, that could be blocking off, if you have the flexibility, an hour and a half. But we should all be getting our best workouts in. We should all be, our longest workouts in if we're at home, right? Not stress eating, eating great, because we can control it. It's not like we're traveling or, in environments that we're forced to eat. We can't eat out at restaurants. That's a healthier thing. So you got to take care of yourself first, because you'll be worthless to everyone else. Now, I will tell you, when I'm giving and giving and giving to my leadership team and to my employees, and just being, trying to be a pillar of strength and support and positivity, I am exhausted at the end of the night. And then that kind of makes me feel like I did the right thing, right? That I am mentally and physically exhausted, but I'm also taking care of myself, and you got to take care of yourself. So yeah, self-care is your number one priority right now. You got to find time in it.
And she did say you were correct about that, John. And then Laura asked, earlier on, you mentioned Ford, and we did let the group know that Ford stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, and Dreams, but I didn't know if you wanted to expand on that, just a little brief for maybe those who aren't familiar with the Ford concept.
Yeah, and I apologize. Maybe I was assuming everyone knows it, because it's in most of my presentations. It's the kind of the topic of my new book that came out a few months ago, The Relationship Economy. And I also did a TED Talk, TEDx talk on it, and it's called Meet as Strangers, Leave as Friends. So it's 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I recommend, if you're not familiar with it, get it, show it to your kids. And what it's about, is that there's no greater skill any of us can have or work at than the ability to build an instant rapport with others. But that's a tough challenge, right? I mean, we're all genetically coded to be preoccupied with us. It's my flight in a normal week that could be delayed. It's my business that could be affected. It's my son that could, be driving me crazy or getting in trouble at school or whatever that may be, right? So that's a hard urge to fight when you talk to others. And whether it's 3 minutes or 30 minutes, what you want to do in any communication, when you come into contact with, a stranger, a coworker, a client, whatever that may be, is focus on their Ford. And if you focus, and you can walk away from a conversation knowing 2 or more things of people's Ford, you not only built a relationship, you own the relationship. Because to each and every one of us in the world, our own Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams are our hot buttons. It's what we get excited to talk about. So by focusing on their Ford, you're getting them excited. You're finding stuff out about them that you can use later on to really build that emotional, strong connection.
Thanks, John. So we have a few more questions here, all great ones. Wendy responded back, and thank you for your advice on self-care. In her world, she's unfortunately not at home.
Yeah.
Is in an essential business, especially in a medical type of field. And that also ties into Carmina's question. She said that some of our staff is working from home now, but the production employees and field teams are having anxiety and stress about having to work. They're considered an essential business, and they are struggling to reduce anxiety. And what kind of advice do you have for them?
Yeah, it's celebrating them, right? Like first responders, and just reminding them the key pivotal role. I know there's a lot of great videos out there by even celebrities that are recognizing them, and who knows, they might be so busy that they don't realize the hero status that they have right now. and whether, obviously it needs to come from the leaders, but also show them any and all comments that are coming in from your customers, but how it's being celebrated, kind of, worldwide, what they're doing and the critical role they're playing. It's unbelievable. It's sadly, it's the positives that come out. I don't think we ever appreciated firemen and police as much as we should have and needed to until 9/11, right? And that just gave us a whole new found of respect for, what they do. And, it sadly takes things like this to wake us up to what the role that you guys play. And I just think, that is so important.
So John, there's a few more questions, and I'm going to read off a couple of these because they all sort of tie into each other. So DJ asked, how would you assure new employees in the future that may be fearful post-crisis? Rita also brings up that her personal life and core skills revolve around business and leadership development. Being kind is more important than being right. Many times what people need is not a brilliant mind that speaks, but a heart that listens. What we need today are humanitarian leaders having empathy for your people. What do you see seems to be the missing link? And Jeffrey also asked how you balance being positive and bringing a high energy with the delivery of difficult news, such as layoffs, salary reductions. They don't want to mislead as they get to that point. So I know those all kind of tie in together about team anxiety and how you can bring that energy to them.
There's a lot of questions. So Nicole, help me if, I'm sure I'm going to miss half of what you threw at me. But Nicole, I don't know if we can we somehow get this group the link to my JR, the YouTube video that I sent to 150 employees of the John Roberts Spa, that we had to, tell them we were closing. And this was before the government, mandated all salons to be closed. But created a video. Is one of the toughest ones I've ever, it is the toughest message I ever had to tell people. But the way I did it, and the just giving them the confidence that we will not let anything happen to them, was really, I couldn't believe the response I got back from them. 150 employees thanking me for laying them off, right? And they weren't thanking me for laying them off, but the way we did it, and how it made them feel better about the future, and that they have made the right choice. So if that link, another video that was incredible that someone sent to me yesterday was, I think his name, Arn Sorensen, the Marriott CEO. If you can find that, of the message he gave his Marriott employees, is amazing. And you'll cry, and he cries during it. But just to see the vulnerability, man, if I worked for him, I would, love him even more. The message that he had to give. So showing people that this is as hard for me as it is for you to hear. But there's no way I'm going to let anything happen to you. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure we're here for you to come back to.
And I definitely can send that link out, John. And once John is done with Q&A, I'll explain to you guys what I'll be including in the email you'll be getting with the recording. To DJ's question, what about new employees that might apply in the future that may be fearful post-crisis? And I've seen this on Facebook too. I'm sure other people have as well. There's even memes about this, in the interview process. How did you respond to your clients and employees during the COVID crisis?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure what the fear of new employees, what specifically he's referring to, that if this company's on good ground, or if I can contract, coronavirus or whatever. But when we go back to our new adjusted normal, obviously everyone's first thing is to, bringing back their current set of employees. And then I think, it's really important. And I think based on the amount of new applicants you get is going to be based on how well you treated your employees now. And I think they're going to do more marketing for you if it's done well. I guarantee you, your employees' brothers and sisters and cousins and parents are going to be applying for a job because if they're bragging for you. But I think it's just, again, being transparent with new employees and saying, hey, this is where we're at, and letting them know, you possibly crawl, walking in, running, and, that business right now is at, 60%. And, we may be bringing on part-time and then hopefully when it gets to 80 or 100, we can, ramp that up. You'll be the first person that gets the hours, whatever that looks like.
Thanks, John. So we have a few more here. Kristen asks, do you have any advice to tell employees that this recession is an opportunity when they are at risk of being laid off themselves or have already seen their friends and family laid off?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a great question, and it's educating them and saying there's a gift here. And so when we have our Zoom calls every day with different teams, that's the first thing I ask. I tell everyone, you got to tell me what the gift you found in this. And it makes people think, and then they find it and it makes them feel better, right? It gets them to start thinking about the gift that they're spending time with their 3-year-old that, they haven't been able to, spend this much amount of time since he or she was born. And then we have to talk about the gift of professionally. How can you, my thing to my team is, what are you consuming? I ask that anyway, but especially now, what are you consuming? Even the people that are working, even the people that are off. I want to know, for your best interest, what are you consuming? Are you listening to, positive podcasts? Are you listening to things that are in your area of expertise? How are you going to come out of this smarter, better, more prepared to be, the best in the world at what you do? And that's everyone's job. And you can sit on your, on your couch and say, woe is me, and I'm not going to lift a finger because if I'm not getting paid for it, well, that's fine. But obviously the best ones are going to always be consuming positive information to make them a better person, better human being, better customer experience, better leader, and better at their job. And that's our job, to give them resources. We can't tell them, hey, you have to live, but we should be giving them resources. Here's the top 10 TED Talks of all time. You want to be inspired? Watch those. Watch one of those a day. They're incredible. Podcasts that are in their wheelhouse of expertise. Don't have to, but here's what I recommend. And you'll come out of this, dying to go back to work because your toolbox is so much stronger as a result of utilizing this downtime.
Thanks, John. Someone also asked, do you have any tips for everyone now that everybody's in the virtual space?
Yeah, so we just Jess Pischel, one of our consultants, wrote an article this week, a blog. So if you go to our blog, the e-service there, it talks about building collaboration and morale in a virtual environment, and that is a great resource for that.
All right. Jennifer asked that they originally thought they'd be back on the 6th. How long should they wait before they start rescheduling?
So what we're doing in our salon business is, I think we've moved that date to April 15th, and we know that's a very fluid date. And so I think what we're doing is we are double booking people. So we call you up and say, hey, you're someone that had an appointment last week, last month, whenever, was inconvenienced. We give you the first appointment, to choose from. And let's say we book you on April 16th. I'm making it up. I don't know what day it is. A Tuesday at 6 p.m. I think we're also booking them, 2 or 3 weeks later on a Tuesday. So we don't, and we're mirroring our appointment book because we don't know when we're going to come back.
Thanks, John. We also have a question from Harvey, a couple questions. So expanding on how you can offer support or be a resource versus marketing and selling. And also, what is the fastest way to become that resource? Is it social media, emails, phone calls, any other ideas you may have for that?
So I think doing the traditional emails about, it's the time of year you can, use our services. I'd probably pull back on that. And same thing on social media. Like I even saw, last week that we had, social media ads or things about why you should hire the DiJulius group, or, donate to Believe in Dreams. And I said, pull that off. Just pull that off. I feel like it's insensitive. So the first area of being a resource to our clients and our community is our expertise, right? So, in the DiJulius group, we can teach people how to lead right now. We can teach people how to most benefit from a virtual environment and, keep morale up and that. So what is your area of expertise, and how can you teach people to do it on their own in the meantime without you, right? So without us, people aren't going to be using us, let's say in consulting. We could still give them, the YouTube channel where they can still, if they have employees with downtime, or they have employees that are thirsty, whether they're laid off or not, are thirsty for education. Hey, here's some great resources to learn about, how to, give great customer service or motivation or whatever that is. So how can you be the expert, the resident expert that I can go to that's not pitching me, but it's educating me? So educate, don't sell. Educate me on what I can do on my own that normally maybe you would be doing, but I can't have you do it right now, but I at least can, keep my head above water in that area.
Thanks, John. And I think we've got one final question here. It's a great question from Kristen. That you might have a great employee that for one reason or another you cannot keep on payroll and have to lay off. Is it beneficial to the relationship to say something along the lines of, I'm sorry, our company isn't recession proof yet, but we're working on it? Or would that be a negative image to have with your employees?
Yeah, I don't know if you have to say that, and I don't know if anyone is recession proof, really, right? We're all going to be impacted. There's always, in every crisis, 2-3% of businesses that, get busier, right? And then 97%, take a hit. So just saying that, being transparent, we have no income coming in. Right now it's more important to be a company that you can come back to when this is all over, and that we are still standing, then run the risk and tell them what you're doing on your own. I'm telling my team, and it's true, I'm not taking a paycheck. I'm not paying my mortgage, right? Because it's more important for me to have, my company be standing for them in a month or 2 months or wherever it is. And, so transparency, without causing them to, panic, that think that, you're in trouble.
Well, thank you so much, John. And I think we have one more here. Just a thank you. So lots of thank yous coming in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. The recording will take a little bit to process, but once that is ready, I will be sending out an email to those who have registered. We'll have the link so that you can rewatch this if you want to. We're also going to include the PDF of the slides if you needed that as a handout. We'll also be sending you the link to the video that John shared with the John Roberts Spa team when they had to make the announcement about the shutdown. And I'll also include the links to John's blog about how you can improve in your personal life, and Jess's blog about virtual. And we'll also include the links for the eService newsletter and the YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed to those, you can get that information. If there are any other questions you may have, you can email us at info@thedijuliusgroup.com, and we will get you taken care of. And I hope that everyone has an amazing weekend. Get outside if it's beautiful in your area. Keep that social distance, but get out, get moving, and enjoy the time with your families.